You can use GardenCAD on quite large areas. Here is a scanned image placed in the GardenCAD drawing editor, and what I'm going to do now is to scale the image so I get sensible values when I make an inquiry. So I've set my drawing color to red, and I've drawn on top of the image which I pasted in, and if I select that line, the hand drafted version tells me that should be 170 feet. So I can right click, go to properties, and have a look here. The length, give or take a small amount, is currently 300. So that's now reporting 300 units long, and it should be 170. So we can scale the image down so that it fits. I've got my calculator running here. I'll just move it onto the screen here, and I've taken my 170, divide it by 300, and we get 0.566. So I'll close my calculator, and now we're going to scale this image. In fact, we'll scale the line as well. So we'll take the whole lot, and we will select scale. It's a good habit to get into, to scale around 0, 0, and my scale factor 5.66, and enter. That's scaled things down. So now when I make an inquiry of this drawing, it should give me the right sort of value. I'll turn off the electronic grid, which is confusing issues just a little, and I'll now select that line, go to properties, and it's now giving me 170.264. You can't really expect much more in terms of accuracy than that when we're working on a base plan such as this. So we're now in a position to start recreating this drawing, and I'll do so. I'll just zoom extents. Sorry, something's selected, isn't it? Hit the escape, right click, zoom extents, and what I can now do is pan across, and I can recreate that very same plan in this area to the right of the plan. That means I can keep referring back to other areas within it. So now I'm ready to recreate an accurate version of that scanned image. If I just zoom in on here, I'll just refresh my memory as to the measurements. If we start down at this point down here, 170, another 170 feet, that makes it easy. Again 170 feet, and then 210 feet in that direction. So I'll change my drawing color back to by layer. I'll pan our scanned image across, and I'll start the line command. I'll type LANE, line, and I'm asked for the first point. So I'll simply just click in a convenient place, and we're going to head up in this direction. Make sure that that beige indicator shows so that you can confidently lock it in, and so the line will be drawn orthogonal at 90 degrees straight up on the screen. Whoops, 170 I want, 170. Type that in the command area down there, and then move away in the direction you want to go in. We're going to go horizontally across now. Another 170, hit the enter key, up, another 170, being careful to make sure the beige indicator is showing, another 170, and then we come across here 210. Now at that point we've got some of the boundaries of the site in. If you zoom in here, we've got 336 along that line there. What I'm going to do is simply drop a line from the end of that one down in that direction, and I'll pick up the end of that line. So I needed to get back in here and check some dimensions. 336 I need to keep in my mind. So now we can go line again, and we can jump to that end point there. If we set OSNAP to end, it will jump to that point. And I've been up to the top and picked OSNAP end, and now I come down 330, what was it, 336, and down we go 336, and enter. So that line is now in. I don't think we have a dimension across here, but of course if we move across there, and we can go horizontally out to the left there and click, And I'll just zoom in on that intersection. So there's potentially our small error, if you like, with that little overhang, because this line is 170 and this one here runs horizontally. Now I have to make some sort of an adjustment, so what I'm going to do is pick up the end of that line and make it jump pretty near the end of this line, so the line along the boundary through here will be at a slightly different angle. So there's my attempt at recreating the boundaries of that site. So in theory we should be able to pick it all up, move it from that little intersection area in there, from that point there, and then we should be able to come across here and drop it down on that point, and in theory things should show. Now of course we have a white line on a white background, so each one of those is a line, and I'm picking them up now. I just happen to know that, whoops, now I've picked my image. Might be easier to undo and go back to where we are. I'll pan across, and what I'll do is gather all of these up. I could make that a block, but what I'll do is change the colour of all of those entities there to, say, magenta, and indeed I will make a block. So I'll surround that, create a block called boundary, and now it can be treated as one object, so we can pick it up, move it from that corner over to the other corner. So we want to drop it in at about that point, somewhere around there. Well, now we have our accurate CAD model overlying our sketch concept plan, and you can see that there is some degree of difficulty. We have an error somewhere in our measurements, I suspect. We very carefully, if you remember, here's the red line that we first drew to do our scaling from, and you remember that we checked the properties of that, and it was 170, and I'll just double check this magenta line alongside. Its properties are, its length is also 170, so we haven't made a typing error. Let's just check the horizontal line here, and we check its properties, and it's also 170. So I suspect that in the original plans from which this hand-drawn plan, the deposit plans maybe, there's a typo that's occurred somewhere, and we've got some wrong values, or maybe even the scale ruler used to create the hand sketch had slipped a little and we got a little error. So if we want an accurate CAD plan of this subdivision, and we want to develop it up so that it's a garden CAD drawing, we've got to find out where that error is. And I guess that's the value of computer-aided design. It helps you check things, because a computer-aided design model of a site reflects accurately what will happen when you get out on the ground. A hand-drawn plan with some dimensions on it should also do it. But I think there's an error there somewhere, and let's hope we can find it.